The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of machinery and the faint creak of metal panels shifting. Commander Darius Hale sat at the center of the conference hall, adjusting the straps of his uniform. He wasn't nervous, not exactly, but he felt the weight of the moment pressing on his shoulders like a gravestone. Across the room, a figure moved with grace that seemed almost impossible, tall, slender, and shimmering with a subtle silver glow. The alien ambassador, Larixa, stepped into the hall. Darius had read every file on the Esthan Collective, the civilization she represented. They were beautiful, so beautiful that human words failed to capture their elegance. Every movement seemed like a dance. Every gesture held meaning. Their culture was built on the pursuit of perfection, on symmetry and visual resonance. Humans, by contrast, were clumsy, asymmetrical, and chaotic. And yet here was Larixa, standing before him, looking directly at him with unblinking eyes that glimmered like stars. "Commander Darius Hale," she said, her voice soft but firm, echoing slightly against the metallic walls. "I have reviewed your history, your tactical experience, your engineering work. Impressive." Darius inclined his head, trying to remain calm. "Thank you, Ambassador Larixa. I hope my people's efforts meet your expectations." She tilted her head, observing him. "Appearance means nothing to me," she said. "I do not judge species by their forms." Darius blinked. He had expected arrogance, maybe condescension, but not this. She claimed she didn't care about appearances, yet he could feel the tension in the room. The way the assistants glanced at him and whispered under their breaths. He knew the truth. Appearance mattered to almost everyone in the galaxy. Humans, with their uneven features and rough textures, were often judged before anyone even heard them speak. He smiled faintly. "But people still judge a painting by its beauty," he said. The words came out slowly, deliberately, as if testing the air. Larixa's expression did not change, but Darius thought he saw the hint of a smile, like a shadow flickering across a distant sun. She walked closer, her movements fluid and silent, until she stood just a few feet from him. "A painting is beautiful if it moves the observer," she said. "Even if the brushstrokes are rough, even if the canvas is torn." Darius leaned back slightly, feeling a spark of connection. Here was a being who might understand, if only partially, what humans often felt when judged. "Then you would see the truth in our chaos," he said. "We may not be beautiful on the surface, but our actions, our choices, they have their own kind of resonance." Larixa's eyes flickered. She seemed to consider this, and then she nodded slowly. "Perhaps. That is what I will observe." The room fell silent again, the hum of machinery filling the space. Darius glanced around, noticing the design of the hall. Every surface was smooth, every corner precise. To the Esthan, beauty was not just decoration, it was function. Their architecture, their ships, even their clothing followed patterns that harmonized with their neural resonance fields. Humans, by contrast, created structures for practicality, not elegance. And yet, he thought, maybe there was something beautiful in that honesty too. Larixa raised a hand, and a small holographic screen appeared between them. Images of Earth's cities, human technology, and spacecraft floated in the air. "Your world," she said, "is unpredictable. Your technology lacks symmetry. Your architecture is irregular. Yet I detect a certain energy, a resilience." Darius nodded. "That's humanity. We adapt, we survive. We don't always follow rules, but we find a way to make things work." The ambassador tilted her head again, studying him. "You claim that appearances do not matter. Yet, I see that you care about how I perceive you." "I care that you see the truth," Darius replied, his voice steady. "Not just the surface, not just the color or the shape. We want to be judged for what we do, not for what we look like." Larixa studied him silently. Her eyes flickered with light, as if processing his words. Finally, She spoke. Humans are curious creatures. You seek to prove yourselves through action, not form. That is unusual. Maybe, Darius said. But it works. He paused. I've read about your people, Ambassador. The Esthan. You value symmetry, beauty, elegance, and yet you claim not to judge us for what we are. Larixa's lips curved into a faint smile. I claim it because I believe it. But my people, they are not so easily convinced. You will face scrutiny. You will face judgment. That is unavoidable. Darius nodded. We're used to it. Humanity has survived judgment before. We've faced worse. She studied him for a long moment. And yet, your confidence? It is not arrogance. It is faith in your own kind. That is something I have not observed in many species. The doors of the hall slid open suddenly, and a group of Esthan advisors entered. They moved with the same grace as Larixa, their expressions unreadable. One of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward. Ambassador, we must remind you, humans are unpredictable. Their appearance alone is concerning. Larixa raised a hand, stopping the words before they could continue. I am aware. That is why I am here. Observation, not judgment. Assessment, not dismissal. The advisor hesitated, but nodded. He seemed unconvinced. Darius could feel the subtle tension. This was why humans had a reputation for being underestimated. The Esthan would judge them first by appearance, then by action. If they failed to act in time, their world could be dismissed, or worse. Darius took a deep breath. Then we will act, he said. We will show you what humans can do. Larixa inclined her head, her eyes reflecting a hint of approval. I look forward to seeing it, Commander. The hum of machinery grew louder, signaling the end of the meeting. Larixa turned to leave, her silver glow retreating into the hall's shadows. Darius watched her go, feeling a strange mixture of anticipation and unease. This was only the beginning. Observation would take time, and every action from now on would be under scrutiny. Outside the hall, the city stretched beneath a sky that shimmered with satellites and spacecraft. Darius walked along the balcony, staring at the bustling streets below. Humans moved with clumsy energy. Machines groaned and rattled, and buildings leaned in ways that would horrify an Esthan architect. Yet, somehow, it all worked. Somehow, it all survived. He thought of Larixa's words about the painting, the one judged for its beauty. Maybe that's what humans are, he murmured to himself. A painting judged not for its lines or colors, but for the story it tells. For the choices made in chaos. A soft beep sounded from his communicator. It was a message from the council, a briefing on the next phase of the ambassador's observation. Darius tapped it open. Data streamed across the screen. Simulations of galactic hazards, engineering challenges, and scenarios where human ingenuity would be tested. He smiled. This was exactly the kind of challenge humanity thrived on. Where others saw disorder, humans saw opportunity. Where others feared imperfection, humans found solutions. And maybe, just maybe, this ambassador would see it too. He turned from the balcony and headed toward the elevator. The future was uncertain. The galaxy was vast, and the Esthan collective was as beautiful as it was intimidating. Yet Darius felt a fire inside him, a determination to prove that humanity's worth was more than skin deep. As the elevator doors closed, he whispered, almost to himself, let them judge the painting by its colors, but they will never ignore the story behind it. The hum of the elevator filled the silence, carrying him toward the first real test. Humanity's appearance might be unremarkable. Their ships might be angular, clumsy, and odd. But their minds, their courage, and their ingenuity, those could not be ignored. And somewhere out there, Larixa was watching. Perhaps learning that even in chaos, there could be beauty worth remembering. The first part of their story was only beginning, and the galaxy would soon discover that appearances, indeed, could be deceiving, but actions told the true story. The stars outside the observation deck shimmered like scattered diamonds. Commander Darius Hale stood beside the glass, watching the alien world of Esthen Prime swirl below him. The city beneath was a marvel, a lattice of crystal towers that reflected the light of two suns, each structure perfectly aligned in symmetry, every corner smooth and flawless. The Esthen prided themselves on beauty and harmony in everything. To a human eye, it was breathtaking. But Darius felt something more, a tension behind the elegance, a rigid perfection that left little room for error. "Commander Hale," Larixa's voice interrupted his thoughts. She stood behind him, her silver glow casting soft light across the deck. "You are observing the city, I see." Darius smiled faintly. "Yes, it's beautiful. But I notice the rigidity too. Everything is exact. Everything has a place." Larixa nodded slowly. "You are perceptive. The Esthen design all things for visual resonance. It stabilizes our minds, our decisions, even our social structure. Symmetry is not just beauty. It is control." Darius frowned. He had suspected as much. "So when you say appearance doesn't matter, is that really true?" She hesitated, her gaze drifting to the horizon. "I do not lie when I say it does not matter to me personally. I have trained myself to look beyond surface form, to value action and choice. But my people, they are bound by tradition. They trust what is beautiful. They fear what is chaotic. Your kind, humans, you are unpredictable in ways they do not understand." Darius felt a weight settle on his chest. He had known humans were judged harshly across the galaxy, but hearing it confirmed from someone of Larixa's intelligence made it real. "So we have to prove ourselves, don't we?" he said quietly. Larixa turned her gaze to him. "Yes. Observation alone is not enough. You must demonstrate the worth of your species in action. Only then will my people see beyond the appearance of your forms and technology." He nodded, determination rising inside him. "Then we'll show them." The hum of the observation deck was broken by an alert from the ship's control panel. The galaxy beyond Esthen Prime was turbulent. Darius walked over, studying the flashing display. A rogue stellar anomaly, a gravity storm, was moving toward the planet. If it struck, the energy waves could destabilize the entire city, causing unimaginable damage. Larixa's eyes widened slightly. "This is dangerous. My fleet cannot respond quickly enough. Their designs are optimized for aesthetics and efficiency, but they lack durability for unexpected events." Darius's mind began racing. The Esthen fleet was beautiful, but fragile. Human ships were different, angular, tough, built for function over form. Their imperfections made them resilient. He turned to Larixa. "We can help, but you need to trust humans." She studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. "Trust is earned, Commander. Show me your capabilities. Prove that your chaos can contain order." He nodded. "Then let's begin." The first task was simple in concept but complex in execution. Stabilize the approaching anomaly before it hit the planet. Darius called his human engineers together. The team assembled quickly, their diverse skills complementing each other. Some were technicians, some mathematicians, some pilots, but all shared one trait: resourcefulness. "Listen up," Darius began. "The Esthen fleet is designed for elegance, not endurance. That means if we want to protect the city, we have to rely on what we're good at: improvisation, durability, and coordination. Their ships can't handle direct impact, but ours can." A young engineer named Kara raised her hand. "Commander, the human ships aren't as fast or smooth as the Esthen fleet. If we intercept the anomaly, will we be able to survive?" Darius smiled faintly. "That's the point. We don't need to look perfect, we need to act. Function over form. Remember, it's not about beauty. It's about results." Larixa observed the briefing quietly, noting each human's expression, each gesture, each flicker of emotion. They were messy, unpolished, chaotic in ways her people would never allow themselves to be. Yet, there was something compelling about their energy, a rhythm she could not deny. Hours later, the human fleet launched. Ships of all shapes and sizes streaked across the sky, their metal hulls scarred and angular, engines roaring with raw power. Darius led the formation, navigating the turbulent fields of energy that radiated from the approaching anomaly. Larixa followed in her observation vessel, silent and attentive. The Esthan fleet stayed behind, watching, unwilling to risk their precious ships. They were beautiful, each vessel a masterpiece, but they were fragile, meant to be admired more than to act. Darius's ships took the brunt of the anomaly's energy waves. Sparks flew, engines groaned, and metal bent under pressure. Yet, despite the chaos, the human crews adjusted, recalibrating shields, redistributing energy, and working as one. The anomaly's unpredictable patterns could have overwhelmed any fleet designed for elegance alone, but the human ships absorbed the impact and redirected energy, stabilizing the flow before it reached the city. Larixa's eyes widened in awe. For the first time, she saw beauty in something not designed to be beautiful. The rough, angular ships, battered and scarred, moved in a symphony of purpose, each action precise even in apparent disorder. Darius could feel the strain. "Keep steady. Remember, function over form," he shouted. His voice carried over comms, grounding the team. Slowly, steadily, the anomaly's energy began to dissipate. After what felt like hours, the anomaly finally stabilized. Darius's ships had absorbed most of the impact, their hulls dented and scorched. But the city below remained safe. Cheers erupted among the human crews, but Darius barely noticed. He was too busy watching Larixa. Her expression was difficult to read, but the subtle shift in her eyes told him enough. Approval. Recognition. She had seen the truth in humanity's chaos. Back on the observation deck, Larixa addressed her advisors. "Witness what I have observed," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Humanity does not follow patterns as we do. Their technology is rough, irregular, and imperfect. And yet, they succeed where we might fail. Their resilience is remarkable." The advisors murmured, some skeptical, some astonished. One elder spoke up, voice sharp and precise. "Ambassador, their methods are dangerous, unpredictable. Chaos can lead to disaster." Larixa's eyes glimmered with intensity. "Yes, chaos can lead to disaster. But it can also lead to solutions beyond imagination. Humans act, adapt, and survive. They are not perfect. They are not symmetrical. But they are effective." Darius overheard her words from the comlink and smiled. The first step had been taken. The Esthan were beginning to see that humanity's worth was measured not in appearance, but in action. Later, in the quiet of the human ship's mess hall, Darius reflected on the day's events. Kara sat across from him, her eyes wide with admiration and exhaustion. "Commander, did you see her?" "Larixa. She was impressed." Darius nodded slowly. "She saw something she doesn't see often, something beyond surface beauty. She saw purpose, resilience, and courage." Another engineer, Malik, leaned forward. "Do you think her people will ever understand that?" "Some will," Darius said. "Not all. But that doesn't matter. One change can ripple across the galaxy. Today we showed them that humans are more than what they look like. That's the start." Larixa's voice echoed from the comm again, soft, but carrying weight. "Commander Hale, you have demonstrated something extraordinary today. Your people's chaos is a kind of beauty. One I did not expect." Darius smiled. "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Ambassador. And sometimes, it's in the choices, not the colors." She paused. "Perhaps, I will need to study your species further. There is much to learn." Darius felt a spark of hope. Humanity had survived judgment in countless ways before. And now, even across the stars, they could do it again. Their appearance might be imperfect, their designs unrefined, their methods messy, but the galaxy would learn that human ingenuity and courage could not be ignored. Outside, the twin suns set over Esthen Prime, casting long shadows across the city. Darius watched, feeling the pulse of possibility. The battle was not over. Observation was only the beginning, but he knew one thing for certain. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger galaxy, and they had already begun to leave a mark that could not be erased. And somewhere, Larixa watched and learned, beginning to understand that in chaos, there could be a beauty the galaxy had never known. The galaxy was alive with motion. Stars twinkled in patterns that humans found chaotic but beautiful in their own way. Commander Darius Hale's ship cut through the void, leading a small fleet of human vessels toward the outskirts of Esthen space. A message from Ambassador Larixa had come hours ago. A rogue stellar anomaly, larger and more unstable than the one they had stabilized earlier, was approaching Esthen Prime. The planet's twin suns reflected off its crystal towers, and if this anomaly struck directly, it could destroy entire cities in moments. Darius had gathered his engineers and pilots in the briefing room. The holographic projection displayed a swirling mass of energy, chaotic streams of light, and gravitational waves pulsing unpredictably. "This is worse than the last one," Darius said, pointing to the center of the anomaly. "It's bigger, faster, and more unstable. If it reaches Esthen Prime, the city's entire structure could collapse." Kara leaned forward. "Commander, the Esthen fleet is already in position. Can't they stop it themselves?" Darius shook his head. "Their ships are elegant. Yes, beautiful even, but fragile, built for symmetry and visual resonance, not for extreme stress. They'll crumble under this kind of energy. That's where we come in. Humans survive chaos. That's our advantage." Larixa's voice joined them through the comm. "Commander, you may be correct. I will observe, but my fleet will not engage directly. It is too risky. The decision is yours." Darius glanced at her, sensing the faint approval beneath her calm tone. "Then we act," he said. "Prepare your teams. This is not a drill." Human ships launched from their stations in staggered formations. Angular hulls gleamed under the twin suns, engines thrumming with raw power. To an Esthen eye, the vessels might have seemed rough, even crude. But Darius knew their strength lay in their imperfection. Every bump, every exposed panel, was a mark of resilience, not weakness. The anomaly loomed ahead, a roiling sphere of energy, unpredictable and dangerous. Its waves of light twisted like serpents, each pulse threatening to tear through reality itself. Darius's fleet approached cautiously, shields raised and sensors active. "Keep formation," he commanded. "And remember, function over form. Do what needs to be done, not what looks beautiful." The first impact hit without warning. A wave of gravitational energy slammed into the lead ships, shaking them violently. Sparks flew, engines strained, and alarms blared. Human pilots gritted their teeth, adjusting trajectories in real time. "Divert power to the shields," Darius shouted. "Engage thrusters at maximum. We need to absorb the impact, not deflect it." Kara's voice cut through the chaos. "Commander, the shields won't hold much longer." "Then reinforce them," Darius barked. "Use every resource. Remember, chaos is our ally." The fleet moved as a single entity, each ship supporting the others. Where one faltered, another compensated. Where one took the brunt of the energy wave, the next redistributed power. The human fleet was a living system, unpredictable to outsiders but perfectly synchronized to its crew. Larixa watched silently from her observation vessel. The Esthen fleet remained behind, their ships stationary, perfect in form, but hesitant to risk damage. She realized, with a growing sense of awe, that the humans were performing a feat her people could not. Their ugly ships were enduring blows that would shatter the Esthan vessels. And yet, they persisted, adapting with every pulse of the anomaly. Hours passed. The anomaly's energy surged and shifted, testing the limits of the human fleet. Darius's voice remained steady through the calm, guiding, correcting, inspiring. Focus on the pattern, he said. Anticipate the waves. We cannot fight them directly, but we can control their path. One of the engineers, Malik, adjusted the energy flow between the shields and engines. Commander, I've found a way to stabilize the core temporarily. Do it, Darius replied. Now. A surge of light erupted from the fleet, the human ships forming a protective barrier around the anomaly's core. Sparks and energy arcs danced across their hulls. But the maneuver worked. The anomaly's chaotic waves were redirected, spreading harmlessly into empty space instead of toward the city. Larixa's eyes widened. She had seen beauty in form before, but this was different. This was beauty in action, in adaptation, in courage. The human fleet had no elegance, no perfection in design, but they had something far more compelling: ingenuity and willpower. Darius's ship shuddered violently as another wave struck. "All hands, brace!" he shouted. The crew tightened, adjusting every system, every control. Slowly, steadily, they guided the anomaly further away from Esthan Prime. "Commander, it's working," Kara said, her voice a mixture of relief and amazement. Darius allowed himself a brief smile. "It's always working when humans are in control," he said. Finally, after hours of tense maneuvering, the anomaly stabilized. Its energy dissipated into space, harmless and distant. The human fleet, battered and scorched, had survived. Ships bore dents, scratches, and scorch marks, but they were intact. Every crew member was accounted for, breathing heavily, faces flushed with relief. Larixa's voice came through the calm, soft but resonant. "Commander Hale, you have done the impossible. Your people, your fleet, they have saved Esthan Prime." Darius allowed himself a genuine smile. "We didn't do it alone. Everyone here worked together. Imperfect ships, imperfect humans, but we made it happen." The observation deck of Larixa's vessel was silent for a moment. Then she spoke again. "I have witnessed something today that my people rarely understand. Humanity's chaos is beautiful. Your imperfections are your strength. Your unpredictability is your advantage. I must reconsider my people's view of your species." Darius felt a thrill. This was the recognition he had hoped for, not just from Larixa, but from the galaxy itself. Humanity's worth could not be measured in beauty or symmetry. It could only be measured in action, courage, and intelligence. When the fleet returned to Esthan Prime, the city below glittered under the twin suns, unaware of the danger that had passed. Larixa greeted Darius personally, her eyes reflecting something like admiration. "You have changed the way I see your species," she said quietly. "The Esthan Council will need time to understand this. But today, you have made history." Darius inclined his head. "It's not just me, it's humanity. We survive, we adapt, and we persevere. That's what matters." She studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Perhaps there is more to humanity than even I realized. You have shown me that actions speak louder than appearances, Commander." As the sun set behind the crystalline towers, Darius looked out over the city. He felt a sense of pride, not arrogance, but confidence in his people. Humans had been underestimated for millennia, dismissed for their appearance, their clumsy forms, their asymmetry. But today, they had proven that survival, intelligence, and courage could outshine any physical perfection. Larixa remained by his side, silent but thoughtful. For the first time, she considered the possibility that the galaxy had been looking at humans all wrong. Perhaps their imperfections were exactly what made them extraordinary. Darius knew the path ahead would not be easy. The Esthan Council would still debate humanity's worth, Other civilizations would judge and challenge them. But one fact remained undeniable. When the galaxy needed action, humans delivered. And somewhere, in the quiet of the observation deck, Larixa began to understand that beauty could exist in ways she had never imagined. Not in symmetry, not in perfection, but in courage, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to be underestimated. Outside the city, the human fleet repaired itself and prepared for further missions. Darius walked along the deck of his flagship, thinking about what had just occurred. Every dent in the ships, every scorched panel, told a story of survival. Every action taken in the chaos of the anomaly had proven a simple truth. Humans could not be judged by appearance alone. He smiled to himself. "One step at a time," he whispered. "We'll keep showing them who we are." Larixa, watching silently from her vessel, allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps humanity's chaos was exactly the kind of beauty her people had been missing all along. The Esthan High Council chamber was unlike anything Darius had seen. Towers of translucent crystal rose from the floor, reflecting the soft light of twin suns through intricate latticework. The chamber was vast, almost impossibly large, yet every detail was perfect. Every line, every angle, every shimmer designed to harmonize with the others. The air vibrated faintly with resonance, a subtle hum that seemed to reinforce the authority of the council. Darius stood at the entrance, flanked by Larixa and several human delegates. The council members sat in a semicircle high above the floor, their forms elegant and symmetrical. Their eyes, bright and perceptive, were fixed on the humans before them. Whispers filled the chamber as council members exchanged glances, unsure what to make of this chaotic, unpolished species before them. Larixa spoke first, her voice calm yet commanding. "Honored members of the High Council, I present to you the species known as humanity. They have demonstrated actions that surpass expectations, even under extreme conditions. I urge you to consider what they have achieved." A tall counselor leaned forward, his voice smooth and precise. "Ambassador Larixa, you ask us to ignore appearances. Yet these humans, they are crude, irregular. Their ships, their movements, their technology, none of it conforms to Esthan standards. How can we trust them with responsibilities of this magnitude?" Darius stepped forward, keeping his tone measured but firm. "Counselors, I understand your concern. Humans may not be symmetrical, our ships may not shine like yours, and our methods may seem messy. But what you see as chaos is actually resilience. Our imperfections are not weaknesses, they are strengths. We adapt. We endure. We act when it matters most." A younger counselor raised a delicate hand, her voice curious. "Commander Hale, are you suggesting that aesthetics are irrelevant? That your people's success depends on function, not beauty?" "Not irrelevant," Darius replied, "but incomplete. Beauty alone cannot save a world, nor stabilize a stellar anomaly, nor protect a civilization. Actions, courage, creativity, these are what truly matter. If you judge a painting only by its colors and lines, you miss the story it tells, the effort behind every stroke. That is what humanity offers." The chamber fell silent. Even the subtle hum seemed to pause, as if the very room was listening. Larixa watched him carefully. "Commander Hale speaks with truth. The humans' performance in the recent anomaly prevented catastrophic damage to Esthan Prime. They acted decisively, adapting in ways that our fleet could not, and yet their appearance, their methods, are still viewed with doubt. It is this very perspective I wish to challenge today." A counselor spoke again, his voice tight with skepticism. "You claim results. Yet how do we know these humans will act consistently? Their unpredictability. It is dangerous. We cannot allow our civilization to be vulnerable to whim or error." Darius nodded. "You are right to be cautious. But humans are not chaotic for the sake of chaos. We are unpredictable because we respond to challenges in ways that others cannot anticipate. That is precisely why we succeed. Our creativity, our ingenuity, and our will to survive make us reliable in circumstances where perfection alone would fail. One of the elder counselors, a being whose crystalline form shimmered in the light, leaned forward. "Your words are compelling, Commander Hale. But words alone cannot convince the council. You must provide proof." Darius smiled faintly. "I believe we have already done so." He gestured to Larixa, who nodded. "Ambassador, you witnessed the human fleet navigating the rogue anomaly. Our ships took the brunt of the energy waves, absorbed the shocks, and stabilized the path away from Esthen Prime. Every crew member acted in unison, adapting in real time. The city was unharmed, the fleet survived, and the anomaly was neutralized. That is proof beyond words," the chamber murmured again. Some council members seemed impressed, others wary. Darius sensed that the debate was far from over. This was a civilization rooted in symmetry, elegance, and order. They would not easily accept that imperfection could yield greatness. Larixa raised her hand, silencing the murmurs. "Honorable counselors, I urge you to consider a new perspective. Perhaps beauty is not only in form, but in function, in courage, in resilience. The humans' actions demonstrated a beauty we have rarely seen. The beauty of purpose. The beauty of survival against overwhelming odds. Is that not a form of perfection?" The chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then, one of the elder counselors spoke. Voice measured. "Ambassador, your words are intriguing. You suggest that perfection is not a static form, but an outcome of action. That even chaos can produce results worthy of admiration?" "Yes," Larixa replied softly. "Commander Hale has shown us that humanity's chaos is not a flaw. It is a kind of beauty that we must learn to recognize." Darius felt a surge of hope. This was the first crack in the Council's rigid perception. If they could accept that beauty could exist in action, in courage, in ingenuity, then humans might finally be seen for what they truly were. To illustrate his point further, Darius activated the holographic projection once more. Images of the human fleet in action, battered ships absorbing energy, crews working in synchronization, and the anomaly dissipating filled the chamber. The council members leaned forward, their luminous eyes tracing each movement. "Observe," Darius said. "These ships are not elegant. Their hulls are dented, their engines uneven. Yet look at the precision of their actions. Every pilot, every engineer, every crew member is part of a living system. They adapt, compensate, and succeed. That is the beauty of humanity. It is not static, it is dynamic. It is not defined by appearance, but by effect." The counselors exchanged glances. Some seemed reluctant to admit it. Yet the truth was undeniable. The humans had achieved what the Esthen fleet could not. They had acted decisively in chaos, demonstrating intelligence, courage, and coordination. Finally, an elder spoke, voice tinged with awe. "Perhaps we have underestimated this species. Perhaps beauty is more than symmetry and elegance. Perhaps it is in the act itself, the choices made, and the outcomes achieved." Darius allowed himself a small smile. It was working. Slowly, the council was beginning to see humanity in a new light. Larixa stepped forward, her silver glow reflecting in the crystal walls. "High Council, today we have witnessed something remarkable. Humans, despite appearances, have shown a form of beauty we rarely recognize. It is a beauty born from action, resilience, and ingenuity. It is a beauty that challenges our understanding, yet it is undeniable." A young counselor, her crystalline eyes wide, spoke hesitantly. "Ambassador, if what you say is true, then perhaps our definition of beauty has been too narrow. Perhaps we have judged value only by form, and not by function, not by courage, not by the impact of actions." "Yes," Larixa said. "Commander Hale and his people have reminded us that beauty is more than a shape or a color. It is in what a species does, not only in how it looks." The chamber was quiet again. this time with reflection rather than whispers. Darius sensed a shift in the council. The debate was far from over, but a seed had been planted, a seed that might grow into understanding, acceptance, and recognition. After the council meeting, Darius returned to his ship. The human fleet had survived, the city below was safe, and the council had begun to reconsider their judgments. For the first time, he felt that humanity's worth might be recognized not for appearance, but for action. Kara approached him, eyes shining with excitement. "Commander, did you see them?" The council. They were listening. They really were. Darius nodded. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. They have seen our power, our resilience. Now we have to show them our wisdom, our cooperation, and our ability to create lasting impact. That is how humanity will truly be recognized." Malik leaned against the railing, smiling. "You really think we can change the way an entire civilization thinks?" Darius looked out at the twin suns setting over the crystalline towers. "Not just think," he said. "We can show them that humanity's beauty is in what we do, not how we look. That is something they cannot ignore. We get it in the mental. We can show them the keys. We can show them they cannot ignore." Larixa appeared beside him, silent for a moment, watching the city. "Commander Hale," she said softly, "your people have given me a new understanding. Perhaps I have underestimated what chaos can achieve. Perhaps your kind's imperfections are exactly what make them remarkable." Darius smiled. "Exactly, Ambassador. We are not perfect, but we are capable. And sometimes, that is more than enough." As the suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the towers, Darius felt a sense of pride and anticipation. Humanity had begun to redefine what it meant to be beautiful in the galaxy. Their actions, courage, and ingenuity had created a new standard, one that could change the perception of humans forever. And somewhere, in the quiet of the observation deck, Larixa reflected on what she had seen. Perhaps beauty was not only in symmetry, not only in perfection, but in courage, adaptability, and the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to be judged solely by appearances. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's journey had only just begun. But for the first time, a new kind of beauty, dynamic, resilient, and unmistakably human, had been acknowledged. The council chamber of the Esthan High Council was filled with an unusual energy. The usual calm precision of the crystal walls and gleaming towers seemed charged with anticipation. Today was the final discussion about humanity's place in the galaxy, and every council member, elders, advisors, and diplomats watched the humans closely. Commander Darius Hale and his delegation stood at the center of the chamber, flanked by Ambassador Larixa, whose silver glow seemed to shine with quiet approval. Darius took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, dismissed for their appearance, their asymmetry, their messy methods. Today, the galaxy would see them for what they truly were: resilient, intelligent, courageous, and capable of achieving what even the most elegant civilizations could not. Larixa addressed the council first. "Honorable members, the humans before you have demonstrated a form of beauty unlike any we have seen. Their ships, their actions, their decisions, none are perfect in appearance. Yet all are precise in function. They have saved Esthan Prime not once, but twice, from stellar anomalies that threaten to destroy our civilization. It is time to recognize that beauty is not only in form, but in action, courage, and ingenuity." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some council members leaned forward, intrigued, while others remained skeptical. One elder, his crystalline form gleaming under the light, spoke. "Ambassador, you ask us to reconsider centuries of tradition. You ask us to redefine beauty. Can a species that is so imperfect in appearance truly be trusted?" Darius stepped forward, holding the council's gaze. "Yes, humanity is imperfect, but that is not weakness. We are adaptable. We are resourceful. We act when others hesitate. Our appearance does not define us. Our choices do. If you judge a painting only by its colors, you miss the story behind it. We are that story. And today, we have proven it through action. A younger counselor tilted her head thoughtfully. Your argument is compelling, Commander Hale. But how can we be sure your people will continue to act in alignment with our values? How do we trust unpredictability? Darius's expression remained calm. We trust because we act consistently when it matters. Humans may be unpredictable in minor matters. But when lives are at stake, we are reliable. The galaxy has underestimated us before, and every time, our ingenuity and courage have allowed us to survive and thrive. Today is no different. You have seen it with your own eyes. Larixa nodded in support. Commander Hale speaks the truth. I have witnessed human actions directly. Their success is not luck, it is their nature. And their nature is worthy of respect and of partnership. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, one of the elder counselors, a being whose crystalline limbs reflected every light in the room, spoke slowly. Perhaps, we have been too rigid in our definitions. We have valued symmetry and form above all else, dismissing the importance of action, courage, and ingenuity. Humans have shown us that perfection is not only in the appearance of things, but in the effects of choices made under pressure. Another counselor chimed in. Yes, their actions saved our planet. Our fleets, perfect as they are in appearance, could not have acted as efficiently under such conditions. Perhaps humanity has shown us that there is another kind of beauty, one that cannot be judged by shape or color alone. Darius felt a surge of hope. The council was beginning to understand. Larixa's eyes met his, and for the first time, he saw a flicker of pride in her expression. Commander Hale, Larixa said, her voice carrying through the chamber, you have redefined the concept of beauty in our civilization. I urge the Council to recognize that humanity's strength lies not in appearances, but in the choices made, the courage shown, and the ingenuity displayed. This is a beauty that endures. The Council deliberated for hours. Whispers of approval and cautious excitement spread among the members. Some were reluctant, clinging to old beliefs. But the undeniable evidence of humanity's actions weighed heavily on every mind. Finally, the head of the Council, an elder whose form shimmered with silver and gold, rose. His voice echoed through the chamber, firm and resonant. After careful consideration, and in recognition of the extraordinary actions demonstrated by humanity, this council acknowledges that appearances do not solely define worth. We recognize humanity's courage, ingenuity, and resilience. Humanity shall be accepted as a valued partner in the galactic community, and their actions shall be remembered as a testament to the power of choice and determination. Darius allowed himself a quiet smile. The words were official, final. Humanity, once dismissed and underestimated, had earned recognition among one of the most visually perfectionist civilizations in the galaxy. Larixa stepped forward and addressed the humans directly. Commander Hale, and all members of your delegation, your people have proven that chaos can be a form of beauty, that imperfection can be strength, and that courage can surpass elegance. You have changed the perception of humanity across the stars. I am proud to stand with you. Darius felt a warmth in his chest. Thank you, Ambassador. But the credit goes to all humans who acted, who endured, and who refused to be underestimated. This recognition belongs to all of us. Outside the chamber, the twin suns set over Esthen Prime, casting long shadows over the crystalline city. Darius walked along a balcony overlooking the towers, joined by Kara, Malik, and other members of the human delegation. They had come a long way from a species judged by appearance to one finally recognized for their true worth. Kara turned to Darius, her eyes wide. Commander, do you think this will change how other civilizations see us? Oh, Darius nodded. It already has. One civilization's recognition is the first step. Word will spread. Humans will no longer be underestimated because of appearance. Our actions define us, not our looks. And when the galaxy sees what we are capable of, They will have no choice but to respect us. Malik laughed softly. It's almost hard to believe. After centuries of being considered weak or ugly, we're finally respected. Darius smiled. Respect is earned through action, not appearances. Today, we've earned it. Tomorrow, we'll continue to prove it. Humanity's story is just beginning, and the galaxy will remember it. In the quiet of the observation deck, Lyrixa stood beside Darius, gazing at the stars. Commander Hale, she said softly, I once believed that beauty was only in form and symmetry. Now I see that it is also in action, in courage, and in the ability to survive and thrive against all odds. Your people have taught me a lesson I will never forget. Darius looked at her, a faint smile on his face. That's what humans do, Ambassador. We survive. We adapt. And we act, even when the odds are against us. That's our beauty, the kind that matters. Lyrixa nodded. And now, the galaxy will know it too. Days later, as humans and Esthin worked together to strengthen their alliance, the story of humanity's actions spread across star systems. Other civilizations, once skeptical of humans' chaotic methods and imperfect appearances, began to take notice. Stories of courage, ingenuity, and resilience circulated in diplomatic channels, and the reputation of humanity began to grow. Back on Esthin Prime, Lyrixa guided a group of young Esthin students across the city. Observe the humans, she said. See how they act, how they think, how they endure. This is a species that has redefined the meaning of beauty. Their form may not be perfect, but their actions are extraordinary. Remember this lesson well. In the distance, human ships, battered but functional, rested in the docking bays. Children pointed at them, their crystalline eyes wide with wonder. Look, one said, that ship. It is strange, but beautiful. Lyrixa smiled. Yes, she said softly. It is beautiful. Not because of how it looks, but because of what it can do. That is true beauty. As the suns dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the crystalline towers, Darius walked among his people. The recognition from the council was more than a political victory. It was a validation of everything humans had always known about themselves, that courage, resilience, and ingenuity were the truest measures of worth. He paused to look at the horizon, thinking of Earth, of the countless humans who had survived, adapted, and persevered through history. The galaxy was vast, filled with species who judged by appearances, who valued elegance over substance. But humans had proven that actions mattered more than form, that chaos could produce greatness, that imperfection could create beauty. And somewhere, Lyrixa watched and smiled, understanding that she had witnessed something extraordinary. A species that had taken the challenge of the galaxy and turned it into a lesson for all civilizations. The stars above seemed brighter, almost as if they recognized the shift. Humanity's story, once underestimated and overlooked, was now celebrated across the galaxy. Darius took a deep breath, feeling both pride and humility. This is only the beginning, he whispered to himself. The galaxy will remember us not for how we look, but for what we do. And so, humanity, once dismissed for its appearance, became a beacon of courage, ingenuity, and resilience. A species whose true beauty could not be ignored, and whose story would inspire civilizations for generations to come.